Yeah, we are back. So, guys, you have to remember, so when you come in, guys, remember to read the community guidelines, okay? Go through the community guidelines, that's the right word. So we need to follow the guidelines. They call them community guidelines, but sometimes you understand. Okay, so post, you have to post, make sure that you post the appropriate comments, okay? First of all, don't mention anybody's name. That is one of the community guidelines, and make sure the chat room is as clear. They watch the videos, yes, they do watch the videos. Narcissists watch these videos, okay? Yes, it happens to, so all creators, they have the same issues. Everybody who creates when they're on their lives. So these are like algorithms. Algorithms just keep on checking these things and what's going on. So if like there's some bad comments or whatever, it can also be an attack because these channels, some of these channels, truth channels, normally they're attacked by so they fight with these channels because we tell you things, we tell you truths. So sometimes you can find them, they watch these channels because they don't like what will open your eyes, you know. So a lot of narcissists watch these channels, that's true. What recipe do you talk about? What recipe are you talking about? What recipe? What recipe? First of all, ladies and gentlemen, you need to understand something. When you're breaking out of that spell, it is going to be hard. Okay? So you see the violations keep on coming. So I don't know what exactly is happening, you know? So you guys can see the violations. So we don't know what is happening. What do we need to do? there's another violation, so I don't know what exactly is happening. Is it fake or is it true? What do you guys think? So it's fake, yeah? Guys, the notification, is it real or fake? What is it? What do you think? You saw it last night. Can someone Google that thing and tell me if it's real or fake? Can you Google it on your phones? That notification. Because I saw it last time in the previous comment. Because normally YouTube sends an email. So is those fake? YouTube normally sends an email when something is going on. Oh, you looked it up, Christy. So it's the gang stalkers. Now, number one is very important. I think it could be a gang stalker. So the narcissist wants a reaction from you. And the reaction is what feeds narcissists. So which means when you don't react, they cannot feed. Okay? So breaking the spell, number one, is very important to understand. Awareness is very important, very powerful. Awareness. You have got to educate yourself on what is narcissistic abuse. You have got to educate yourself. You have to understand, first of all, what is abuse. So if you have got a feeling, suspicion that this person is a narcissist, you go out there, do your research, and understand what exactly do they mean. Is the person you're dating a narcissist? Confirm, because I usually advise you, before you do any decision, you make any decision, to start making the next move, it is also important to understand if you can confirm you are dealing with the situation with the narcissist. First of all, get your confirmation. It's very important. Okay? The first thing you can do, it is a very common technique that many people do. You first of all have to do something they call starve the narcissist. You starve them of your energy. Okay? You have got to starve them of energy. You have got to stop feeding that energy. You have got to stop feeding this person. You starve them. What do you do when you're starving them? Basically, those things, little things that you used to do, you know, shopping, intimacy, it could be spending some time, you know, the things you have always been doing as a team. This can also be in families, it can also be in relationships. So the things you've been doing as a team, you have to stop doing those things. You have got to starve those people. Because when you starve them, it means that you are refusing to react, you are refusing to engage, you're refusing to participate in whatever it is they want you to participate. They want to take you around, or because they always want to drag you around in their direction and take you the shopping, take you this one, take you that way. You have to stop giving the reactions. It's very important. That will help you to preserve your energy. Okay? It will help you to preserve your energy. It means that when you are not participating, they are not pushing your buttons. Even if they push your button, they're not getting anything because you have stopped to engage in whatever it is they are doing. So you can start with the small basic things, and especially this can also be in a situation whereby you're in actually a very long-term relationship. You need to stop giving them attention and energy, because the more energy you give, the more they feed off of you. So you need to stop. You starve them, okay? You have got to find every excuse you can to get away, or sometimes you don't want to go to bed with them, you don't want to sleep, you don't want to get intimate, you don't want to go shopping together. All those little things that you used to do that used to get you involved with them, you start that by starving the narcissist. It's very important. You have to stop to validate them, because they're always seeking your validation, you know? They want you to engage and validate them. They want you to continue showering with them with love, even if they know that they cannot love you back. They want you to continue giving in that stuff. You stop validating them. And in that process, you also have to prepare yourself to get away. So you need to find every possible thing you can do. I don't know what getting away means for you. You need to start planning to get away from them. It's very important. So when you leave, it is now very important to understand you have not left emotionally, you have actually left physically, okay? So what you do when you leave, when you have been able to finally get the chance to leave, you need to refuse to share information on where you went, where you are, where you're living. Maybe you went to the next town, next city, whatever, next country. You do not have to share your place with them. So you do not share that place with them. It's very important to understand. Don't share your details with them, because what you're trying to do, you're trying to break energetic connection with them. Okay? We are building a studio, we are building. So if you want to support me, go in my comments, the comment section, you will see how you can support for us to get a very good working studio. So the studio will help us because we have equipment, we can reach more people, we can, sometimes maybe it's raining and stuff like that. So you can go in the comments, you will see which ways you can support me to build the studio. So we are around 30 to 35% at the moment, something like that. We're around that area. So we're still working on it. It takes a lot of time because it's a lot of equipment. So it's something that I'm trying to do. I get the proper equipment and we can actually reach more people. That is the idea. So you don't share that place with them. Don't share your destination with them. And this is something you have got to do in silence. So when you're living in Narcissism, it's also very important to understand you do not share all the plans you are doing to leave them. You do it in silence. Okay? So many coaches talk about something they call going ghost. Okay, something they call no contact. Some coaches want to say no contact. Some people, they say you go ghost. It's like you didn't exist as well. You completely go blank on them. They don't know where you live. You disconnect their phone numbers, you block them, and your body now is going to start to help you to work. Your body is going to start to heal on its own. Okay? So you have a big mouth. Why? Why do you say you have a big mouth? So which means that when you're leaving, you tell everybody what you're doing. Grand Rising, me and Joe, Grand Rising. Self-control is needed, yeah. Self-control is needed. When you're going to leave the narcissist, it's very important to have self-control and a lot of patience. It's going to be very difficult, but you have to do it, okay? So you go no contact, okay? You go no contact. By going no contact, what it basically means, you will stop to call, you will stop to SMS, Andrea, I see you, how are you? You will stop to email, message, anything that involves contacting them, you have to stop because you're trying to break an energetic connection. So it is also important to do it on the physical, while you're also going to work on it from the spiritual perspective. You do not have to contact them, so you block them. And you have got to give yourself a lot of time, especially if you have like family behind. If maybe you have children or whatever, you need to give yourself time to not be in contact with them. When we're talking about blocking, it's not only blocking them on your phones or something like that. You also have to understand you don't have to be in their presence physically, regardless of what the situation looks like. You do not have to be in physical proximity with them. Okay? You have to make sure you have to pay attention to these people they call mutual friends and family members. So let's say, for example, when you was in that relationship, you used to have these family members who used to come around on the dinner. Some people used to come around, and the people that used to show up every now and then. Maybe there was a party, they come up, mutual friends. So which means those are the friends, your friends and their friends that you guys know each other. Those people also have to be blocked. So when you're blocking the narcissist, you need to understand everybody else that was involved in that situationship used to come around, they know your husband and they know you at the same time. Those people also have to be blocked, because when you are leaving those individuals, when you're breaking away from them, they like to keep a tag on you by using the people that are mutual friends and family members. They like to use those people to get in touch with you. Okay? So those people also have got to be blocked. Because if a narcissist cannot reach you, they're going to reach out to an auntie who used to come around and visit you, an uncle, a friend, something like that, something of that nature. You have got to, now let us understand that you have been in this relationship for a very long time. So you're hurting, definitely. It's a very normal thing, you're hurting. You're still in pain, you're still going through the emotions and everything. So you're still figuring things out and you don't know what you need to do. So what you have to do is very important. You have to allow, because let us look at this thing from an energetic perspective. You have to allow yourself to mourn. You see, let me tell you something about living a narcissistic individual. This is the same feeling you get when you have a loss, when you have gone through a loss. Okay, it can be, for example, you lost a loved one and you're still going through a lot of emotions. That is the same feeling you'll get. But the feeling with the narcissist is different, because that one is more intense. Why? Because you've been dealing with the spell. You've been in a very deep trauma bond with these people. And emotionally, you are still energetically connected to them, even if you are at a distance from each other. It doesn't even matter if you're in the next country, you live in the next city, you're not even close to them. Let's not even talk about you living close to them. You're in a completely different vicinity. You have to understand. You need to allow your spirit and your soul to mourn. This is a loss, okay? I'm teaching you the procedures that you're going to use when you're breaking out of that spell. So you allow yourself to mourn the loss of the relationship. Now, I don't know what mourning means for you. Maybe some people allow themselves to cry. Allow yourself to cry, okay? Some people will not understand it. Allow yourself to mourn, allow yourself to cry, allow yourself to release that pain, because it's energy. That energy has been stored inside of your body for a very long time. So you allow yourself to mourn, because when you're mourning, you're releasing that energy. You're mourning, you're releasing that energy. Crying is actually very healing for the soul. You are understanding that you was duped into that relationship. You did not sign up for narcissistic abuse. You did not sign up for that mess. So now that you have managed eventually to live and detach from this individual, you now allow your soul to mourn the loss of the relationship. It is how you release that energy, okay? I don't know how long it's going to take you. It could be a week, it could be some days. People mourn differently. Some people can mourn for months, It's like, for example, when you have gone through a loss. I've told you, it is the same feeling that you have when you have gone through a loss of somebody that has passed on. So you are mourning, you're crying, okay? Maybe you are too angry at yourself. How could you be fooled for all these years? How could you fall for this mess? You can decide to break a plate, you can decide to, but don't do a lot of damage, okay? Don't do a lot, make sure that you pay attention to whatever you are, and don't hurt yourself. If it requires you to break a plate, something, do it, because energy has to, you have to release that energy. But one of the things you will not do, and this is one of the things that a lot of empaths do. Guys, let's get those likes up, guys. Let's get those likes up. Hit the like button, hit the thumbs up button, hit the thumbs up button. Don't get too taken up with the video. So give us the thumbs up so you know. Is what I'm teaching you now. That's what I was doing. Joyan, something. Is what I was doing. You have the same feeling that you will feel when you're going through a loss of somebody. It is the same thing you will get when you're going through that detachment from that individual, because it's more on an energetic level. And because it has been involved in narcissistic abuse, it's a very dense and intensive energy. So you're trying to release that energy, okay? So when the mourning is done, and you've gone through the mourning phase, the mourning period, you now sit down with yourself and you have got to start trying to figure out exactly where did things go wrong, because a lot of times you could have left that relationship with a lot of guilt. You could sometimes find yourself blaming yourself, or maybe it was you. Maybe you're the one who messed up. Maybe you're the one who didn't get things right. Maybe your father was right. Maybe your partner was right. So you are now in the middle and you don't know if it was your fault or not. That is where now you sit down in silence and take some time to let your brain, let your mind process the entire situationship and what was really happening. Your mind should be able to process this thing, okay? Exactly. You take some time to self-reflect. Is there something you did? How did you fall for this mess? First of all, you need to understand, how did you end up falling for the mess? How were you full to that level whereby you ended up falling for that mess? How did you sign up for this? Something you wasn't even prepared for. How did you sign up for that relationship? That is where now you start to remember everything that happened in the beginning and how you was lured into that relationship. A situationship that was almost destroyed you, a relationship that nearly destroyed you. How did you sign up for this? Where did things go wrong? What part did you play? You see, some of the times when you're self-reflecting, that is where you now start to realize, what role did you play? What role did you play when you was getting involved in that situationship? How did you miss the red flags? Why didn't you listen to yourself? And what made you not listen to yourself? So those things you are now starting to remember, to get into contact with your inner self and remember, how did you participate in getting involved? Now, when you come to that acceptance that you have also played the role in getting involved with those situationships, that is where now your mind starts to relax, because you understand they came in, yes, they messed up a little bit and they love bombed you, so you couldn't see the red flags. You was blinded, so you couldn't see the red flags. So now you started to understand that, okay, you played the role as well in that situationship. You now come into acceptance that you played a part. And when you do that and you can clearly, genuinely feel it that you played the role, you're now starting to realize that you are actually not putting the whole thing on the other person. You are also understanding that you played the part. Yes, you was naive, it's understandable, but that's the part you played. You was naive, okay? Like I remember when I met with a greater narcissist in those early weeks, that's the first thing she said. Oh, so you also played the role. That's the first thing she told me. You played the role in getting involved with the narcissist. And I was struggling to accept that okay, yes, I understand that I could have been naive, because there are some, what do they call it? There are some things I couldn't see. So I did play a role. I would not understand it at the time, but when I took some time to get into contact, get into self-reflection, I now figured out that there was a role that I played. I was naive, so I didn't see the whole thing. The red flags is how we all fell for those games, okay? And then, what else do you need to do? Now, I don't know, that is where now the faith will come in. Like I've said, I don't know what is your faith. I don't know what you believe in. I don't know which religion maybe you're a Jesus person, you're a church person, you're Muslim, you are whatever belief, faith you have. You have got to go into serious prayer, because spells are broken in the spirit, okay? The spell is broken in the spirit. So that's where now you sit down with yourself and you start praying. I don't know, like I've told you, whatever language, whatever praying means for you, whichever language whichever faith you do believe in, is where now you're going to start to pray. The spells are broken in spirit. If you're a person who is into spirituality, whatever spiritual practice, you have to use any spiritual practice that is concerned and is related to breaking spells. You have got to do that. Now, there's something else I want to discuss that is very, very powerful. This is one of the most powerful things. Actually, this thing we do actually share. Normally, when you do the sessions with me, There is other ways that I teach you how to actually break. Because you see, when you're dealing with a narcissist, why do they call them energy vampires? That is because you are actually exchanging energy. You are in energetic, in something they call, it's like an energetic connection between the two of you. For a person to siphon your energy, it means they are coded into your energy field. When a person is coded into your energy field, which means that it's going to take you a little bit of time to actually cut the cords and the energetic cords between you and them. Okay? These are energetic cords that are not supposed to exist, but for some mysterious reason they did, and is why you've been coded into that person's energy for a very long time. So in the sessions that I do, and this is something I don't want to share online, in most of the sessions I do, I teach you how to cut energetic cords between you and that person. But again, I've told you so many times, some people call them soul ties, okay? Trauma bond, soul ties, all those things are connected. People have got different names for them, but it's all almost the same thing. It's energetic. It's an energetic exchange. So a person is actually coded into your energy. When a person is coded into your energy and you want to break away from that person energetically, which means you have got to break the cords between you and them. So that is something else entirely. It is something actually we discuss most of the time in the sessions. You devour, you cut the energetic cords between you and those people. Again, I've told you, you can be a spiritual person. There's a spiritual way to do that. If you're a religious person, maybe there are some scriptures you need to do to break soul ties. There are some other people who may teach you along those lines of religion, and there's a way they do it. But even from a spiritual perspective, from a spiritual lens, you can do it. You can do it in your spiritual way to sever those energetic cords that are between you and that person. Now, when you do that, you have got to understand some of the signs, these things that you see. Normally, when you're starting to break these spells and whatever, you break out of the spell, you're disconnecting energetically from the person. So there's things that you will see. Most of the times, you might recognize they're starting to give you distance. Like, let's say, for example, one of the things I experienced back in those years, when I was severing those energetic cords. So that is when I started experiencing that this person was starting to, for the very first time in so many years, I was experiencing a lot of distance. They were starting to distance themselves from me. Okay? That's when I started to see the messages was not coming in. They was not trying to contact me. They stopped looking for me and all that kind of stuff. So they somehow feel, because they are connected to you energetically. But when you have actually destroyed and broken the cords, which means they can no longer access you, and even on the physical, they are going to lose every little contact they've had with you. So that's when you will see they're no longer looking around. Maybe there was part of that team that used to stalk you around. They used to come around and, visit your home, randomly visit your home, or maybe sometime randomly show up at work. You're going to see them starting to distance themselves from you. That is because the energetic cords have been broken and they can no longer access you energetically. Okay? Narcissism is spiritual, you have to understand. So that's when now you're going to see a very huge distance between you and the narcissistic individual. They're starting to give you space. They're realizing that they no longer have power and access to you. It's exactly what is happening. Okay? When you're breaking these cords as well, you have to understand, when you're breaking the spell, the other person that was responsible for that spell, they can be things that may start to manifest around them. Because you see, when these entities can no longer feed on your energy, they will be starving. They are going to start to starve. And in some of the things that I've been talking about over the years, I've told you, you may start to see a certain manifestation that will appear in that person. It can be a way they do things, a way they feel. Their personality will completely change because they are now starving, okay? They can no longer access you and can feed on your energy. So sometimes they are going to fall apart. A lot of things can fall apart. You may start to see a different manifestation of events happening around them. It can be unexplainable weakness, lack of interest in a lot of things. Their bodies could even sometimes start aging in a certain way that is unexplainable to the human mind. It is difficult to understand and explain. Their body can start to fall apart. Because when these entities when these entities lose or don't have access to a food source, the entities start to feed on the vessel itself. Is where many of you guys have left a narcissist, and you have seen, for some mysterious reason, a person that is supposed to be probably 30 years old, maybe 40 years old, they are looking like they're 60 years old. They are aging at a rate that is very difficult to explain. The next time you see them in a couple of months, they look like a 60-year-old. A person who is supposed to be 30 or 40, they're looking like a 60-year-old. That is because they no longer have access to your energy. You as the source. They no longer have access to the source, so which means the entities are now feeding on those people. And in most cases, now that they don't have any food source on the outside, they are going to feed on the vessel. Is one of the reasons that I've told you. Reverse aging. When you're reverse aging, it means you are no longer pouring your energy out into other individuals. So which means that you have been aging at a rate you wasn't supposed to age, okay? When you've been, a lot of narcissistic people, people who have been in narcissistic relationships, what they have actually experienced as well. Yes, I'm taking what is mine. So what people experience is that, for example, I did a video before. That video was called How the Narcissist Nearly Took My Life. I was aging at a rate that I didn't understand. So which means the densomos you see now is a completely different densomos. Many of the victims of abuse, you know, you have seen them how they look. That is because something has been feeding off of their energy. They are aging at a very fast rate. When you detach from these individuals and you break out of these spells, those entities can no longer feed on you. So which means you start to reverse age. Your skin starts to glow. You start to look the way you should look. You start to feel energy, your power, your energy is coming back to you. You even sometimes reverse age. It will also affect, because you see, when you've broken the codes, it gives access to you to start healing, and you're healing very fast. Okay, so it will also manifest in the way that you look. You're going to start looking younger. Okay, is what this individual is talking about. Our friend here, you feel like you reverse aging. People will be looking at you in a couple of months and they'll be like, "Oh, how come that you are looking like 10 years younger?" Something like that. That is because you are no longer feeding these energy vampires. So your energy is preserved for yourself. Is reserved for yourself. You're no longer giving it out, okay, into the wrong people. Some of them age in days, exactly. Some of them age in days. Sometimes it's weeks, but you're going to see a completely different image of that individual. And that will be confirmation to you that there is a person that has been feeding off of your energy, okay? But now that you have severed the codes, they can no longer access your energy, okay? After cutting the ties, and has opposite effect on yourself. When the entities cannot feed somewhere outside, they are going to feed on the vessel. That is the reason why you see these people, they have to move on. They have to very, very quickly. The moment you've taken a decision and you said enough is enough and you've disconnected from those individuals, the very first thing they do, they are going to do whatever they can to make sure that they find somebody else, you know, very, very quickly. So they're going to find a replacement. So many of you guys have been hearing something they call the new supply. They will find a replacement very fast because they don't know how to survive without energy. They cannot do that. They are not connected to source. So they cannot draw in their own energy. So they need somebody very quickly on the side that they are going to use, replace, okay, the new supply, the new whatever. So they need somebody who's going to replace you, a new energy source, okay? And a lot of times you have to understand when a person has put some spells on you, the spells also backfire, Okay, so a lot of times they are going to experience a lot of unexplainable events around them. Because when a person has bound you in a spell, and that spell worked for some time, it means that they have been having an energy source for a very long time. But when you have broken and severed those spells, it means that the spells will backfire. So whichever energy they have been drawing from you, whatever they have been stealing from you, and whatever they've been casting your way, it kind of reverses. Is why you see a lot of times they start to struggle. They will be struggling with everything. They can struggle with health. They can struggle with jobs. They can struggle with their daily easy. The things they used to do very easily is going to become very complicated because they no longer have any form of energetic connection between you and them. So they are also going through it. But it can also be delayed. For example, when you have severed these cords, it may not be easily seen or manifest because they have already plugged into somebody else. So they're like you guys know the narcissists, what they do. They just recycle their whatever. They just recycle. When you've left, they are going to go back maybe to the old supplier who has been working on themselves for some years, or they may sometimes get somebody else. So when they do get somebody else, they are now going to plug into that person's energy, which means that they're going to have a new food source. So it may not be the same value, okay? It doesn't mean that when you go to different restaurants, you're going to get the same quality of food. You may have had a very nice quality meal in a certain restaurant. You go to a different one, it's going to be a different type of meal. So it may be a different type of energy, but it's still going to be something. So for them, it may be working. It could be an upgrade, or sometimes it could be a downgrade. They could have left and they could have found somebody that has got more better, fresh energy, abundant energy, but they could have also run into somebody who was also very low in energy, maybe even sometimes probably even narcissistic, just like them, and they don't pretty much have a lot of energy to get from these individuals, but it is still energy for them. So it is going to depend on the narcissist that you're dealing with, and it will also depend on the new supply, the new person that they have got in your place. But when you ever leave a narcissistic individual and they have moved on to somebody else, this is going to be your ticket. It is going to be your victory. You have to look at it in a very positive way, because when a narcissist has got somebody else on the side, it means they have somebody else to replace you. So they have somebody else to distract them. It is usually worse when you have left a narcissistic individual and they do not have a food source on the side. That is going to be very complicated, because now they still want to plug into your energy to try to rely on you, whatever. You're trying to break away, they cannot let you go. They keep on swinging back back and forth. But when they have somebody to distract them, it works in your favor, because now they have somebody to keep them busy. So that is where now you use all that time to do the work on yourself. And there is also something else you guys need to understand. The more you start healing and working on yourself, you need to know your body automatically, because your body has been consuming a lot of negative energy from these individuals. They have been very dense, full of toxicity and everything. So you have been consuming so much negative energy from them. Any small thing you do to heal, any healing that you do, it releases the negative energy that you've been consuming, because that negative energy has been deeply encoded into your energy. So you have been walking around with dead weight, the weight that wasn't even yours. So the more you heal, which means that the more you heal, your body continues to release. Like for me, for example, I remember when I started my journey to heal, my body would manifest different things. There was a time I was dealing with skin issues at the time. So those things would come, and like my whole body would wake up one morning, for example, and the whole body was covered it was patched up with different types of, rashes and stuff like that. I don't know what they look like. They look like eczema, something like that. There was something, my body used to patch up with, especially at the back and on the hands. And those things would just hit me in one morning. I would heal them. They would come back after 1 week. I healed, they come back after the other week. So my body was releasing. Your body is going to start releasing energy. So it might manifest as, like I've said, those rashes on your skin. It could manifest as migraines. You may sometimes be hit with different types of migraines. That is because your body is trying to detox spiritually on an energetic level. So your body, when it's detoxing, it can manifest on the physical as some types of conditions on the skin, or sometimes migraines, or it could be something, You could have anything. It could have been anybody. Everybody is different. But when the energy is leaving, there's a manifestation you will get. So sometimes you may think that your body is failing because your body is struggling to release. You're releasing energy. And all that negative energy released did not belong to you. So sometimes it can manifest on the outside as illnesses, okay? Skin conditions and so on and so forth. For me, it was skin conditions. So I had to deal with those skin conditions for, I think it took me like 2 months, because they would come, I would work on them, they would disappear, then they would come back but when they would come back, it would be like lesser than the first time. So they continue to reduce over time. So it could be like every after 2 weeks, maybe sometimes 3 weeks, but the body was releasing. So the body is releasing energy. And that is when you know it is actually confirmation to you that you're releasing energy. You have been dealing with a very toxic individual. Okay? Is exactly what happens when you are releasing these things. That means that even from a spiritual level, your body is detoxing. You are severing codes. You have been coded. These entities have been coded into your energy. So you're releasing energy. And that is what happens when you're severing these codes between you and those people. So you do not have to give yourself time. Normally, when I'm doing the healing sessions with people, I allow you to give yourself like at least 21 days or maybe 28 days. And there are some things I advise you to do in those sessions. When you commit yourself, because this thing is a commitment. It's not saying that, oh, today I feel like lazy, I'm going to take a break. Or no. When you're starting to do the healing, you are going to commit yourself to do the healing work, okay? Which means that you're going to follow the lessons. You're always going to follow up with yourself. It is a thing you're supposed to commit. You don't just wake up a day and you say, oh, today why do I feel like lazy? I don't need to do anything. No. You are going to put the work, okay? You're going to do the work because you know what you want. You know where you want to be, so you're going to put in that work. You are the one that is going to motivate yourself, okay? The only thing you need to know is what to do. But when you have learned what to do, you're going to commit. It is a commitment to healing. Healing is a commitment. You don't say today I'm going to do some healing, tomorrow let me take a break. Do it. I normally give you like maybe 21 days, it could be 28 days, but there's things that you have got to do that are going to be helping you on that journey, because you're breaking something that has been coded into your energy for so many years. Many of you guys have been with narcissists for 20 years. So which means that you're breaking codes or you're breaking spells that have been cast onto you for the last 20 years. Many of you even sometimes have been dealing with spells that came from your families. You know, you could have been dealing with a very toxic parent, and you've been dealing with all those spells for the last 20 years or 40 years or 30 years of your life. So it is a process, okay? It is a process, and you have to be patient with yourself, but very, very important, you have to commit. The healing of the empath is a commitment, but it is also very important to realize the narcissist does not want you to heal. There is no narcissist on this universe. I've never seen a coach that has told you that the narcissist left you to heal on your own, you know. It is something you took on yourself. You took on this assignment for you to heal on yourself. The narcissist did not want you to heal. They can allow you to take a break. Let's say, for example, they can say, okay, maybe you've been going through a discard and maybe you guys are broken up the last week. They can say, okay, let me just give him like some week or two, maybe 3, maybe even sometime a month. But they're not willing to let you heal all the way. Because when you do heal all the way, it is going to become very clear to the people around you or around them that there was the problem. Because how is it possible that when you was with them, you was struggling, your health was failing, everything was falling apart, you have gone out there to heal, and all of a sudden they're the ones falling apart and you're doing better? So which means that it's becoming evident that there was the problem. So is why most of the times when you are healing, they interrupt that healing to happen. You know, you could have done, like, for example, 2 years, maybe let's say like 2 months, 3 months of healing, and you've been really strongly working, very seriously working on yourself, and you're starting to feel better. Your energy is okay, you're starting to feel better and everything. And then all of a sudden, they just start texting you, and they start to push your buttons. Oh, the kid is sick. Oh, something is going on. Something happened to the pets. Something happened to this. They won't start interrupting your healing process. Because the narcissist knows, they know your wounds. The narcissist was attracted to your trauma as well. They was attracted to your wounds. So they also come in that form. They find the wound so that they can attach. There's a video coming, actually there's a whole video coming out on that particular subject. They came to you because there was some wounds they came to feed. They came to feed on your wounds, your unhealed traumas. Okay? It's what they use to attach themselves to you. They attach themselves to you through the wound. You could have had a wound. It could be childhood trauma. It could be some part of you that was broken for a very long time and you wasn't even aware of it. So that's how they got attached to you, through the wounds. Okay? When you are healing, it means, it's like, for example, when you go to a doctor and you had something like a wound and you healed that wound. When you heal the wound, the flies are not going to come around anymore because there's nothing to feed. So there's no wound to feed on, okay? The flies feed on the wounds. That's exactly what the narcissist was doing. They've been feeding on your wounds, on your traumas and everything. That's how they attached themselves to you. But when you heal and you have been able to do it all the way up, it actually means that there's no more wounds to feed. It's how it works. There's no more wounds to feed. So the wound is healed. So they find you as a healed person. They can no longer feed on your traumas because they have already worked on your traumas. Okay? So there's nothing to feed. They don't see any value for you. They are going to continue moving on. That is actually when you know that you have beaten the narcissist. When you have healed your wounds. A lot of empaths, you don't know. There is some elements of you, the wounded version of you, the wounded elements of you, you know, that was that attracted that individual. Because, like I've told you, when you're wounded, when you have a normal wound, the flies keep on coming to feed on that wound. But when there's no wound and you've healed that wound, the flies will disappear. It is how actually you become a narcissist repellent, because there's nothing. When they come in, they try to do different tricks, everything is not working. You cannot release, you cannot give them any energy, so there's nothing to feed, so they leave you alone. You become a narcissist repellent in that process. Okay? So codes have to be broken is what I'm trying to say. The codes have to be broken. Okay? The codes have to be broken. It is a spell. Some coaches said the narcissist spell under the you know, is some kind of spiritual bondage. You're spiritually bonded to this individual. Okay? So when you become the healed empath, there's no trauma. You've worked on everything. You've gone there, you've gone deep within yourself, you've been doing the work. So all these energy vampiric spirits, they almost see you as poison, because when they come to you, they don't get anything from you. They cannot get a reaction, they cannot get anything. So they're like trying to get into your energy to feed. Many of you empaths have realized something, and there's something I want to tell you guys. Have you guys noticed? Many of those narcissists have actually come in that particular moment when you was hurt, when you was in distress. Did you guys know that that's what was happening exactly? I want you to remember many years ago when you met the narcissist. Maybe you was going through a breakup. You just broke up with your ex-partner. So you are there, you know, you are moody, you are sad and everything. So, you know, so they come in and you're telling them, oh, you know, I had this boyfriend and he did this or he did that. Now, so you are hurting. So you are a very powerful food source for these energy vampires, because that is exactly what they want. So they are going to come in. As soon as they see that you're wounded, you're crawling yourself back up, you're trying to struggle, you're struggling, that's when they're going to come in. Oh, you know, don't worry, you know. Guys, keep it clean. Remember that, you know, let's keep it clean for the algorithm, okay? So what I mean by don't use abusive language, we want to keep it clean, we want to learn, so we heal, but don't use abusive language because of the algorithms. So for the ones who wanted to moderate, I usually recommend you're a member, and secondly, I want somebody who has been with us for a while. Okay, you've been following for, let me say, for 2 years, because that's how I know that you're a loyal member. You always keep on coming, to check in and stuff. Because if a person wants to moderate and maybe they've been with us for a month or two, I don't know if they're going to be around for some time. So they may be just checking in for a couple of months and they will be on their way. So for the moderators, I would wish to have somebody that has been quite for a while with us. It has been like a couple of years, maybe 2 years. I know some people here who have been with us even for 4 years. So that's how you know that you're always checking in and out of the channel. So I will know that you will get some time to do the moderation, okay? But if you've been like 2 or 3 months, then it's too early to know if you're going to be here. There's some people who come in a month and they leave, they maybe a week or something. So when you want to moderate, I want somebody who has been with us for a while, because then I'll know that you're still here with us, okay? So at least like 2 years, maybe even at least a year, okay? So you have to know So what causes people to be fighting with each other, guys? How do you start fighting with, for what? Why do you guys have to fight with each other? And why is it that always the religious people are the ones fighting with each other? This is what I want to understand. Why is it religious people, they are the very first ones to fight against each other? All right, guys. So the narcissist was attracted to you because he was wounded. A narcissist is not attracted to the healed empath. They have no business with you. They have nothing to do with you. You are too healed for them. You are not going to give them reactions. You are not going to feed them, so they cannot be around you, okay? There are no wounds. Is why I always push for the healing to happen, because the healing is what releases you from that energy. Narcissism is an energy, okay? When you met the narcissist in the beginning, many of you was going through a breakup. Maybe you had a breakup with an ex, maybe you had a fallout with the parents, So you are there struggling, you are, moody, whatever. Maybe you went to them and you asked them, can I stay at your house? Or, yes, you can stay here. And then now you're going through your stories. Oh, your parents did this, your ex did that, and this and this. So they was attracted to that because there was feeding. Okay, when he was with them, he was releasing that energy. So there was feeding off of you, which means you was a wounded person. And there's nothing wrong with being a wounded person. Every one of us has got some things they have been dealing with, and we have been wounded at so many levels. But when you have taken some time to heal, it means that the narcissist does not have anything to feed. Okay, is how this whole thing goes. They have nothing to feed. Okay, so if they cannot feed, it means they cannot be with you because they cannot feed. You cannot be given an empty plate without food. So what are you going to eat when there's an empty plate? Somebody gives you a plate, there's no food. What are you going to eat? So there's no need for the plate because there's no food. So the narcissist, they feed on your wants. They feed on your trauma, okay? They like your past, the painful past. You are there talking about who did wrong, who did what, and what did they do, and you're there crying, you are moody. So they come in to feed. That is how actually I attracted the greater narcissist at the time, some years ago. Is how I attracted the greater narcissist because I was going through a breakup. So in one way, shape, or form, I needed some validation from somebody. So when you're left when you've left a narcissist, you're feeling down, you're feeling you're not enough, you're still struggling with emotions, you haven't yet even walked out of the trauma bond. So you meet another individual, and now you're going to start going through those emotions, and that's what they want. So they like that energy. Is how they get attached to you, okay? But when you have healed, then eventually they cannot be around you because there's nothing to eat, okay? So if you feel on the chart that you're being attacked by somebody, and you maybe, I don't know, for whichever reason, we can remove the person, okay? If you feel that somebody is attacking you in the chat or something, tell us what is going on. Because I'm not reading all the comments, I just randomly catch up on the comment. But if you feel you're being disrespected and something saying nasty stuff, we can remove the person. There's no big deal with that, okay? Is all love, healing. So, arguments, when a person keeps on back and forth, trying to trigger you, trying to push different energy towards you, it means that that person might be going through something. So it doesn't necessarily mean that they're bad people, okay? But they may be going through something and they need an outlet. So sometimes people, they think that, okay, so when they come on these channels, like I think that's karma, whichever YouTube thing was trying to come in and fool us with these things. They come in and they try to release some bad energy. There are people that are going through stuff. Some of them are narcissists. Some of them are gang stalkers. So they come in to confuse you, to steal your energy. So when you give them reactions, so you guys have to use your discernment as well. When a person is pushing your buttons, you have to know they are releasing energy, okay? They need an outlet. So when you react, you continue to feed that energy. You react, you continue to feed. When you ignore, you're good to go. When you react, you feed them. Okay? It's how this whole thing works. So don't feed the energy. When you feel that you're being triggered, you're feeding the energy. So don't feed it. Somebody needs a reaction because they want you to feel a certain way. And they know that this is an empath channel. So a lot of these energy vampires, they want to come and push your buttons to feed from you. Don't give them that energy. But if you feel you're being disrespected, you can tell me and I can remove the person. It's that simple, you know? Okay? So, it is very important to understand that the spell can be broken, okay? Don't engage. That's the easy way. Don't engage. Don't engage. If I see something, I will just remove the person. Don't worry about it. It's possible to break the spell, okay? And there's also another thing I want to discuss. When you break a spell, when you break those spells, it is not only a spell against one narcissist, it is a spell against all narcissists. It's one of the things you need to realize. When you break any trauma bond, people want to say trauma bond, some people want to say soul ties, whatever. When you break out of that energy, it is not only against one narcissist, it is against all, because they all operate under the same energy, it's the same code. So it means that you have broken the spell against any form of narcissist. There will not be any narcissist that will ever come in and will ever bind you in some form of a spell. When you break out of one, you have broken out of all. So that is how you break. It is how you break the spells against any form of narcissistic individual, okay? So you will now realize that it becomes easier for you to maneuver life because you're going to keep on meeting them. It can be different ones. It could be at the next job you get, it could be at a church, whatever. But you are dealing with them better because you understand what it is. You have already broken the spell, okay? So it becomes very difficult for any form of narcissist to come into your energy and they bind you because they call it a spell because it's a binding spell. You have been bound to that individual. So when you break out of it, you unbind yourself from all form of narcissistic energy. Commitment, consistency, so you commit yourself to the journey. All right? So, if you're an individual out there who is looking for help, you're going through some, I don't know what is happening, you have a personal, because there are some things I cannot discuss here, okay? There are some things a little bit more personal, so we cannot discuss it on the public platform. But you might have something private and you want to, you want help, maybe you want coaching in your own private situation, then you have to email me. You'll get in contact with me and I'll tell you how to book the sessions. Okay? If there is something else I've not mentioned here in the video, yeah, we don't discuss religions, it's true. We don't discuss religion. If I would be discussing religions, that means that, so we are going to start fighting. You see, that's the reason why I don't like discussing religions. So now is why I've told you that a lot of these religious people, They're the ones fighting amongst each other because somebody has a different faith or somebody knows something about Jesus and they're going to come and fight with the other one. Oh, Jesus this and this one that. It's all confusion, ladies and gentlemen. You know, the people that have always been fighting against each other, they are the religious people. And especially the ones who say they are following Jesus. There is nothing else they know apart from that. They are going to start attacking these other ones. Now, in this channel, we have everybody from different faiths. So now somebody who is who believes in Christ, they are going to come and they are going to be fighting with the other one who is a non-Catholic or something like that. Religion is just tearing you guys apart for nothing. You are just fighting amongst each other for nothing. Is unnecessary. Instead of learning things, Kumguru, hello, you're just going to start fighting and you're going to miss the lessons because you're taking time to fight with each other. You're going to be missing lessons, you know? When I talk about healing, narcissism or whatever, I'm talking to everybody. I'm not talking to Catholics. I'm not talking only to born-agains. I'm not talking to Muslims. I'm talking to everybody because narcissism is global, regardless of what you believe in. But there is channels which like religion. There are some of them, they approach things on a religious, so those kind of platforms, it can be easier for you, okay? So we've been talking about spells, breaking spells. That is Guru. Trauma bonds, soul ties. Breaking out of spells, breaking trauma bonds. So another thing you can do, what can also help you, and I've also mentioned that in some of my videos, you have to continue to show them love. Love is a very powerful thing you can do when you want to break out of a spell. Because the narcissist wants you to be in that energy of struggling, hatred, and you're fighting around, you know, you're struggling, you're shouting, you're cursing out. That's what they want you to be. So you refuse that energy. Regardless of how much you're hurting, regardless of what you have been going through, regardless of how the thing looks like. Yes, it's very tough, but you have to continue to vibrate at that frequency. Because love is a very powerful frequency. Love alone is enough to break any curse. So continue to emit the vibration of love. Continue to walk in love and truth. Another thing you can do to break a spell, always stand in your truth and say it as it is. So when I was starting my videos many years ago, there used to be people who say that, oh, so how come you say this? How can you say that? I was talking my truth, so some people couldn't understand what I was doing. Continue to love and love and love some more. You are breaking a spell by continuing to love because the narcissist is the opposite of love. So which means that when you continue to, first of all, detach, like I've said, and then you continue to vibrate at that frequency, which means you continue to love genuinely and authentically. You're breaking a spell. Speak your truth. The narcissist liked being around you because you didn't know how to speak your truth. But when you continue to stay and stand in your truth, you break a spell. It's an illusion. You break out of the spell by continuing to stand in your truth. Continue to be the empath that you are. continue to vibrate at the frequency of authenticity. The narcissist hates authenticity. So you refuse to perform just for the sake of performing. You continue to be organic and authentic. You're breaking the spell by doing that. Refuse to be evil. So which means that you're going to refuse to do anything that is evil, anything that is involving dark arts or stuff like that. You refuse. There are some people who think that, oh, because I'm on this journey, I'm healing, so you start going to different practitioners and this and that. Don't do those things of practitioners. Refuse that evil, okay? You cannot break a spell by going to cast another spell. You break it by breaking the cycle of the spells, by refusing to participate in anything dark, okay? Refuse to be evil. Don't curse out. Don't be in that energy of, hatred. Sometimes you hear people who have been broken up with narcissists and they are, they hate their father, they hate their mother. Refuse that energy. It's negative energy. We have to refuse. A spell is broken by doing the opposite. And you have to forgive. Don't get involved with dark arts. Don't get involved with dark herbalists. They just continue to push you darker into the darkness. Sometimes you go there and you want to get help or whatever, but they just continue to drag you back into the darkness. Refuse it. And another thing, again, I've said, forgive. You have got to forgive, regardless of what it looks like. Your father messed up, forgive them. Your ex-wife messed up, forgive. Yes, when you don't forgive, you cannot heal. Because when you don't forgive, that means that you still have that energy of regret and why did they do this? How could they do that? There's nothing you can change. It has been happening for some time. There's nothing. You cannot go back to you cannot go back to the past. So you have to allow the forgiveness to happen, because when you allow yourself to your forgiveness to happen, it opens these doors for you to start healing, okay? The empathy, you're very emotional. Sometimes you get very emotional with things. But one of the secrets I've learned on the healing journey is to allow yourself to forgive these people, because you are dealing with a different entity altogether. These entities do not think like you. They do not have the same chemistry, brain chemistry like you, so they have a different way of processing things. And in their vocabulary, they don't forgive. A lot of them, I've done a video recently. Your enemies want you to, what did I call it? Your enemies want you to apologize for surviving their abuse, They want you to be in that energy of you're going back crawling because, they messed you up, and you go back, you say sorry. You have to understand, your enemy hates your frequency. The reason why you've been going through these spells and binding and stuff like that and the attacks and everything is because they hate your energy. Everything that you represent is a direct reflection of everything that they are not. Whatever you represent. I'm talking about this channel is for empaths, so I don't do the other things for other people. I don't know what's going on. I'm specifically talking with empaths. The enemy doesn't like everything that you represent is the opposite of who they are. So it is the indifference, whatever it is you represent, whatever frequency you hold, it is why they continue attacking you, because you hold something very valuable and they cannot have that for themselves. So it's why they keep on dragging your energy into a lower vibration. Okay? Are we together, guys? The enemy wants you to see you confused, you hurting, you're broken, you're distracted, you're going in circles. That's what they want you to be. It's what they have always wanted to be. So you refuse to be in that energy. And it is something you have to work on, you know? You continue loving unconditionally. You continue pouring out that love. You're healing and you're pouring out the love. Continue to love yourself, be authentic, seek or speak your truth, vibrate at that frequency. That is where you break spells. The spells are broken in that category. The reason why you didn't know is because you didn't know who you are. Is why you didn't know to get out of that energy. But now that you're learning about yourself, continue to represent yourself the way you are, organically, authentically, and the spells can no longer work on you. Okay? A lot of the times when you experience chaos, when you start to see chaos around you, somebody dragging you into chaos, something that is chaotic, they want you to start shouting around, messing around, doing this or that, you have to know that there's a narcissist around. That is exactly their playground, is what they feed on. So whenever you're into a situation of chaos, you know, maybe it is a chaotic neighborhood, a chaotic workplace, whatever, maybe church, there's a narcissist around. That's where they thrive. That is their playground. Okay? Why so many one-on person? I don't understand the question. Denzel, why so many one-on person? What do you mean? It's not clear, Mr. Crystal. Truth. You opened my eyes. Thank you. If your eyes are open, you're free. Okay? They send lots of people for one person. That is because you're being gang stalked. Gang stalking is a simple confirmation of who you are. So when they fear your power, they start to send people towards you and this and that. It's a confirmation of your power. That's why they are stalking you. Okay? Because they cannot come on their own, because that is how weak they are. They cannot come individually. So they keep on grouping up with teams to come against one person. That is a confirmation that they are scared of your power. Is why they need a whole group just to come for one person. They cannot do it on their own. And many of them are high. Maybe they will go for a drink first, or they will go do some drugs or whatever, then they come for one person. A lot of them, they are not in their normal senses. Many of your gang stalkers are addicts, you know. Some of them, they could be these addicts or whatever. And I'm not saying all gang stalkers all addicts are bad people, but they can also pick up on those people that are already addicts, so they give them some money to, you know, to nurse their addiction or whatever, then, you know, they bribe them with money and stuff like that to come against you. That is because they know your power. They are scared of your power. Is why they keep on coming at you. Is why a lot of times you see these gang stalkers. Many of them are street people. Some of them are even the normal ones. You know, the ones who are very low vibration and they can take bribes for a meal, for some what do they call them? Those gift cards and stuff. You know, some of them, they buy them some phones and, you know, sometimes money, whatever, pay their rent just to come against you because they know, they understand who you are. But that will be another subject. With the gang stalking is a completely different thing, okay? You can get rid of the hatred by embracing the love frequency. You have got to embrace the love frequency. That is when you get rid of the hatred. If you ask me, I will tell you that I've been dealing with so many narcissists, but I don't hate anybody. I don't hate them because I'm not all about that energy, you know? They wanted you to be in that energy, but you refuse to participate in that energy because it's low vibrational. It is not something easy to get rid of, but when you can continue to embody the love frequency, your authentic frequency, you can get out of that hatred. So guys, make sure you follow us on TikTok. Every now and then I'm going there to do some videos as well. I've got a completely different community over there. So if you want to enjoy the lives over there, make sure that you go and follow us on TikTok. The link is in the bio. There's in the description, you will see the TikTok link over there. So thank you for participating in this live, guys. I saw the comments, I saw the likes. Is about, we've been in 1.5 hours. So that will be it for today, guys. If you have a question, leave it in the comments below. I'll go through it. If you have if you want to book a session, there's an email in the description. God bless you all, and I'll catch you in my next one, okay? Peace.